Yo, Jake Paul's in trouble. Um, was the fight fake or something?
All right, so let me explain some things that might help you understand why the Mike Tyson Jake Paul match went the way it did. See, Jake Paul had a problem. People thought his fight with Mike Tyson was terrible, awful, shouldn't have happened. It was
Yep.
just a money grab. Now, we're gonna focus on that money grab part. Because see, first things first, Jake Paul is trying to sell you as many tickets as possible. And he does that two different ways. One, the person he's fighting has to be entertaining enough for you to want to watch them. Mike Tyson, Anderson Silva, and a bunch of fighters who really stopped fighting a long time ago. Now, here's where things get a little interesting. See, the second thing that Jake does to sell you tickets is by trying to make you hate him. Well, that's kind of easy for him because everyone already hates him, but he puts on glasses. He calls himself the problem child. We want to see one of these older legends, and so you watch the show. But let me let you in on a secret. Jake Paul is in a lot more trouble than you would think, because what he thinks he's doing is using the same strategy Muhammad Ali used. See, Muhammad Ali had a quote. It said, "Love me, hate me, I don't care, just buy a ticket." Because not many people know this, but when Muhammad Ali was first starting out his career, people hated him. Muhammad Ali was not your traditional boxer. He was always making jokes, always running his mouth, while other boxers were stoic, locked in. So people wanted to see Muhammad Ali get silenced. People would buy a ticket, Muhammad Ali would win. Jake Paul thinks he's doing the same thing again, but there's a key difference. The difference being, even though Muhammad Ali was all fun and games, deep down inside, he was a monster. A once-in-a-generational talent who could back up his mouth. So people would say, yeah.
Oh, this video is really stupid. I thought, like, is everyone mad at Jake Paul for scamming him with that fight? That fight was terrible. Well, from what you could even see of it, so many people were watching it that the stream was crashing. Well, I guess this is what Jake Paul does. All of his fights are pretty crap. But from a business perspective, I guess he makes a shitload of money doing this stuff. So what's going on in the atheist fantasy world? Is this real? Crazy.
Oh, hey, what's up, man? It's going okay, I guess.
So what you got? You think God exists?
Do I believe God exists?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think in order for us to have a conversation about God, we'd have to both come to an agreement on what the word God means before we have a conversation about it.
Okay. What do you think it means?
Well, I think when people like Christians talk about God, they're talking about a man that they think created the universe and then came and shared knowledge with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would I be wrong?
That would be accurate. Yeah, we believe God incarnated in this a man.
Right. That's the part where I fall off, because it seems very conceited for humans to not have explored the whole universe that they live in, and then to say that God looks like them, and God came down to their planet specifically only and shared the creation story with them. That sounds really conceited, don't you think? Especially if there were more intelligent life scattered across the whole cosmic universe. It would be, imagine how you would feel if you went to another planet and these people said, "Oh, this is the creator of the universe." You would probably laugh at them.
Well, I think it'd be conceited if we were to say we knew everything about God. So, but
Right.
we only know that like God reveals about himself to us.
Right. And that's the, yeah, you see my point of view, at least, on how I think it's conceited.
No, I don't think it's conceited.
You don't think it's conceited for us to have never been to another planet or another galaxy ever, and then say that we're for sure that God, this was God, this is, the almighty, all-knowing creator of the universe, and by the way, he just happens to look like us. Oh my God, Amelia Mars. We have never physically been to Mars in a human flesh suit. We've never been there.
Okay. But I don't see why that's relevant. Like, you accept what Jesus said about himself or you don't, right?
I mean, I believe that Jesus was a real person, and I believe that he was a teacher who helped a lot of people. And then through helping those people, other people did not like that because of the narrative at the time. And then they crucified him. And all the people that followed him, because he was such a nice man, probably would want to pass that story down because it's one that has some moral teaching and lesson to it.
But he claimed he's God. That's the whole point, right? And
well, did he physically say, "I am God," or did he use different words? Because
he said he's God all throughout, like John, the Gospel of John.
Right, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember a specific passage where he actually says verbatim, "I am God," or "I created the whole universe." He says things like, "I am the Father," right? But he doesn't specifically say that I am God.
Yes, he does.
Can you tell me the passage?
It's literally the whole, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life. That life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it.
Okay. I'm not understanding where that says I'm God.
It's saying that Jesus is God.
How?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't understand. It doesn't say that specifically.
The word. Yes, it does. Oh my goodness.
Well, please explain it if you can. Or are you making up some assumption in your head based off of some preconceived notion?
Bro, get real. Listen.
I am being very real, because it even says
you must not be listening to what I said, because it was obvious.
Very Christian of you.
Very atheist of you.
I'm not an atheist, but try again.
Oh, what kind of stupid non-Christian are you?
What kind of stupid non-Christian am I? Wow. Yeah, you're so pissed off. This is what happens when you challenge somebody's views and they get like this. I think there's a scripture about this, right? I think you're acting wrong based upon that scripture.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, don't put engagement bait up, and then when somebody comes up and has an actual argument, you get pissed off.
What is your argument? What's the syllogism?
Well, if you would let me finish before cutting me off like a child.
Bro, you said God didn't say that it doesn't say Jesus is God.
Wait, is Jesus a man?
Yes.
So is God a man?
Was God a man? Yeah.
God's a man. Oh, wow.
Not just a man.
Oh, not just a man. Now, see, now it's changing.
Yeah.
My point is the language that you speak, you don't even fully understand, because when those words were wrote.
Whoa, stop. You don't even, dude, let's go over this. The word became flesh. Repeat after me.
The word became flesh.
Word became flesh.
Okay.
Right? John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and the life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome, right?
Okay, you're just saying that light shines in darkness. Please see, when you read a passage in your mind, you're creating a whole scenario and then expecting somebody to read your mind and understand what you're saying based off of that. So you're expecting me to interpret that scripture the same way that you would. Nobody does that.
The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John 1:14. The Word became flesh. The Word became flesh. Remember?
Okay, the word became flesh. Explain it. Because you're just saying the word became flesh. That doesn't mean that it's true, my friend, and that doesn't mean
process
you're
information.
You're saying that somebody said something and then created mankind through words, right? That's what you're saying. You're saying somebody spoke and then things were created into thin air.
Do you process information more slowly than others?
No, I don't. But for instance, tell me what the definition of the universe is. Can you tell me that so I can break the barrier of the language that you don't understand that you speak?
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The
Right.
Word became flesh and made it.
Universe means uni and verse. Uni meaning one song, and verse.
What do you think that means?
Well, see, if you read scripture, interpretation of scripture is not up to man. It's only through God. So you're already off. You're already not doing it right.
Bye-bye.
Exactly. Yeah, you're.
Oh, Darth dropped. Whoops. Hey, Darth, did you want to come up? Oh, there he is.
You know, Mama always said life is like a box of chocolates. Some people just process information more slowly.
I mean, that was unreal. It's just John 1. It's just right there at the beginning. Like, what the hell?
What do you mean by what, and what do you mean by hell?
Is that your interpretation of a man? Did a man interpret that? Good God. Okay, Okay, we're going into Darth Dawkins mode now.
You see, when they can't intellectually, sword fight, they have to resort to just being obtuse.
I don't know. Yeah, what was with that guy? That was weird. Very unique individual. I mean, I think, yeah, John. I think the Gospel of John is the one that makes it most clear that Jesus is God. Like, it's undeniable. Like, you basically have to throw out the Gospel of John.
Where do they grow these people?
Yeah, I don't know. They'll argue anything. The most obvious thing they don't care.
That's the go-to tactic. When you don't have confidence in your own ability to defend your position. I mean, why is it that we don't deploy that? Because we're confident in our ability to, answer things. We don't have to play these little games.
Oh, and he's requesting to come back up. And then he says, "I'm running," but they. What about when they ignore?
That's their always go-to response when they behave bad. Then when they get kicked for behaving badly, then they go, "You're running."
But like when they ignore what you present and they prevaricate and all that stuff, that's a type of running. How's that not running? You're running. It says. What is he started quibbling? Oh, you don't know what that means? Are you kidding me? How it's so clear. We don't even need to go to like a Bible scholar on that one. It's John 1. Very clear. Jesus is God. That's how you been, Darth? I've been looking for your streams.
I've been doing a lot more reading, just taking some breaks. Yeah, but you might not want to don't put that as your wallpaper because that's going to scare them away.
I don't mind. It's all right. Then I don't have to read the rule or go over the rules with them. I tried getting into the Divine Time Maker. That was getting pretty dense. I felt my brain was like going to fall apart.
Well, it's both simple and complex.
Yeah.
Right? It's a combination of the two. But Ryan Mullins, when he does interviews, he's very gifted in how to explain things. Okay.
Yeah, it's not so much of I'm not like criticizing Ryan Mullen. I'm saying that.
Well, you have to remember he's writing the paper not toward a lay audience.
Oh, of course. And time in general, yeah. I think time in general is kind of a weird brain teaser. It's like hard for our minds to like.
People talk about time all the time, but then when it comes down to defining it, then it becomes difficult, or they just give a definition that is just loosey-goosey, Like they'll say, well, time is change, right? So then time is just a relational aspect, right?
There's a quote I really like. I think it's by Augustine, where he says, like, what is time? If no one asks me, I know
what it is. But if somebody asks me, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I love that quote.
Yeah, that's a good quote. It really is. I'm still kicking myself. I'm halfway through his time book, and I gotta finish it. Wish I had read those papers first before I read the end of the Timeless God, because then it would have been less difficult getting through the book of the end of the Timeless God.
I had ChatGPT help me understand the paper. It's really useful for that because it's good at like understanding words and
stuff. ChatGPT. People just need to understand it's a great tool, to get quick and succinct answers, but to realize that on certain subjects, it's just distilling what's out there on the internet, and
That's
the
why.
answer, it can be, it's spot on right, it can be completely wrong.
That's why I'm not asking it questions. I'm plugging in the paper. I'm telling it the paper, and I go, explain this paper to me like I'm a moron.
How do you do that?
I just copy paste from the PDF, and then I type in like the prompt, like explain.
Copy all the text?
Oh, not like I go maybe page by page or a couple paragraphs at a time, and then so then I'll. But what's great is because it keeps the thread. So the more the text you put in, the more context it gets of the text, and it gets better at interpreting what's going on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just like say, explain this to me like I'm a layman or something, or summarize this and explain this to me. And then it does it. So it actually works pretty good.
It's just mimicking what people. It's teaching a computer to do what humans can do. It's just like an autopilot on a Tesla.
It's like a language AI, right? So it understands language pretty well. So it can kind of like break down complex language and make it like easier for me to understand.
Basically, what they're doing is they're programming into it the mental tools that can be coded for in a computer program, and it's just a big time saver. So, are there any atheists out there? We're looking to talk with some smart atheists. The only atheists that show up are people who are trolls, and it's sad.
Oh, I had a Christian. So I had the thing where like it says deconstruction Christians are lying to you on TikTok, and he joins and he goes, "Well, deconstruction Christianity could be a good thing," and I agree with that, right? Like it's not necessarily bad, but like I think it's obvious what I'm referring to. I'm referring to like a specific group, and he wants to like quibble with me about this crap.
Yeah, you can't take these people seriously.
Yeah, I called him a jerk. And then lo and behold, I see him on the Den of Atheists getting along. He's one of those, probably. There's like, maybe he was lying to me about being a Christian, but I don't know. There's some Christians, it's like they have an atheist mentality or something.
There are atheists who will pretend to be Christians. I've had that happen many times.
That happens to me too. Oh, the guy did the whole Mormon thing to me today, so I just go, okay, I'm a Mormon now. So let's prove Mormonism to everyone. I just went with his fate. I was like, okay, I'll go with your whole thing. He didn't want to prove Mormonism to other people though, Darth. He converted me, and I was like, okay, let's go convert all the other people on the panel to Mormonism now with our argument. All of a sudden, he didn't want to be a Mormon anymore. Welcome, Beanie.
Okay, thank you. So to begin, you guys are Christian people, or like
we are Bible-believing Christians, and we defend not only that the Christian worldview is true, but it's the only rational worldview to hold to.
Okay. So you believe the Bible is? So you believe the Bible in its entirety, right?
We hold that all that the Bible affirms to be true is true. Sometimes the Bible records statements of individuals that are making untrue statements, like when Satan through the serpent said that Adam and Eve would not die when they ate the fruit.
Okay, so you believe that. So with that part right there, you believe that.
Are you having breathing problems?
A little bit, but excuse me. Okay, but
Do you
Okay.
smoke?
Sometime I do, yes, but like I was actually
Do
born
do
with
you
this
do you
problem.
do you, do you smoke stuff that makes you high?
No, 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 I do not. No, I do not.
Okay, you sound like you're out of breath.
Okay, yeah, and I'm sorry about that, but I was actually born this way, so I will do. So I do
Oh,
have.
okay, okay. I'm sorry, just concerned about your well-being.
Okay, yeah, and I appreciate that. So like my discussion, like I had was like, from the very beginning of the Bible, a Genesis 1 on down, like starting from Genesis, when it says in the beginning God had created the heavens and the earth was without form and void was upon the face of the earth.
Yeah, it means that God did not create the earth in such an instantaneous manner um, that it was ready to go, to create animals like that. So he created the world, and then he had to further, I don't want to say improve it, but make it conducive for life on the planet.
Okay, yeah, okay. Now see,
Why he did that, I don't know. He could have just snapped his fingers and done it that way.
when you say that at the beginning of before I could finish, I do understand what you are saying, but like in the beginning, like that right there is more like just off starting the first few words, it's more like a narrator was speaking in the play. I mean, a narrator was beginning the book of the Bible. And like I was having a conversation with my sister earlier, and like I was trying to explain to her, say like going off until like sixth day the sixth day, if I'm not mistaken, say God created had created humans before he created Adam and Eve. Do you believe that?
No.
Okay. If you was to go to Genesis, well, first chapter of Genesis, toward the end of the chapter, it was saying, God was saying, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "What? Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and subdue the world." Or whatever, and stuff like that and whatnot, And okay, with that, then on the Genesis second chapter is when it said that God supposed to had arrested, but then even within God's time of rest, he basically said he needed someone to till
No,
his ground.
Genesis 2 is zooming in, okay, on day 6. Okay?
But how is that possible?
How is that possible? Because God by the time day 6 was completed, he had
Correct.
made both man and woman. So Genesis
Correct.
2, when it talks about Adam without Eve, this is clearly talking about, this is a zooming in on what took place on day 6.
Okay, hold up. So you're saying that on day 6, God actually created
Genesis 2
Adam.
is giving us further detail, a
Co-
zooming in on what happened on day 6 in Genesis chapter 2.
Oh, but hold up though. How is that actually possible when in Genesis 2 after God created Adam, after he created Adam, he had actually said, man needs a companion, and that's when he actually created Eve, and
That's right. Yeah, that's why in Genesis 1, it's an overview. So on day 6, it was an overview of creating mankind. Genesis 2 is giving us more information about what happened on day 6 that was not given in chapter 1. This is not uncommon in historical recollections. Or, for example, in movies. Movies will do this all the time. They'll lay out a general chronology, and then it'll show you a sequence of something that happened within the general chronology, where it's zooming in and giving us more details.
Okay, but see though, I do understand all of that, but it's like, see, in certain type of translations, right? Eve is supposed to in translations, like Eve's supposed to mean beginning or before. So
I
before I
have
continue
no
on,
idea I don't know what you're talking about.
we
There's no problem with the text. It's people who approach the text that creates a problem.
no, I mean, no. I'm not trying to create any type of problem.
All right. Well, anyway, look. Thank you for coming. Okay, if you're an unbeliever and you'd like to explain to us why your unbelief is rational, or you'd like to challenge the existence of God and the Christian worldview, we'd love to talk with you.
Oh, in that paper, it went into that. Remember when the atheists were making fun of you for saying that time can't be measured?
Yeah. Yep.
The paper went into a distinction between, Mullins said, metaphysical time and physical time. And so physical time can be measured, but metaphysical time cannot be measured. Yet there's a relationship between the two. So it's kind of weird.
Well, yeah. So time can look. People can use the word time in different ways. All right. So, for example, somebody can talk about the time it takes for me to go from A to B, and what they're talking about in relation to, or the amount of repeated occurrences of some machine that changes at the same intervals. Okay. It's fine to say clocks measure time colloquially, but if we're going to be very precise philosophically and metaphysically, then if a clock measures time, then tell me how a machine, what does it measure? If I say to you that a tape measure or a yardstick measures a 2x4, we know what a 2x4 is. So when they say clocks measure time, how does something going tick, 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 a machine that changes at regular intervals, what is that measuring?
Right. Time is like a metaphysical thing. So
Yeah. So there's a technical use of time, and then there's a colloquial use of time.
and through like science and philosophy, we don't have access to the metaphysical. We only have access to the
Yeah.
metaphysical.
Well, here's another thing: is when people talk about time, are they invoking time as an abstract statement? That time is to be reckoned to be the relationship between events? Or are they referring to time as an ontological realm? Or are they referring that time is in some way a natured entity?
Right.
Right?
I think we would
So
go
when
with
it,
like
yeah, so what they're doing. Look, I remember one time I referred to different views of chance. Okay, where one view of chance is things are just spontaneously occurring without causal antecedents. Right. I said another view of chance is where we live in a world where there's a realm of cause and effect sequencing, and that we have um, intersecting independent events, okay, two or more intersecting independent events from each other, producing a novel effect. Now, when I said this, Angstreich and his crew were mocking and ridiculing, but a person in their group who was never trollish to my understanding, he was friendly with them. I forget what his name was. But he was very philosophically oriented, and he kind of mocked them, and he goes, "I agree with Darth," and they were just gobsmacked. They were just like, "What do you mean? You know, what is the problem?" And look, if you have two objects in outer space collide, and the one object uh, deflects off of the other, then it enters the atmosphere, and because of the atmosphere, its trajectory is angle of trajectory is changed, and then it goes to the roof of a barn or in a house somewhere in Idaho. Okay, we call that chance because it's a number of intersecting events resulting in a novel end, right? And they mocked my definition of chance like that. Look, look, they're just arrogant, uneducated sophists, right? And because they read a lot of philosophy and that's their hobby, they think they're really smart. I mean, for a while there, they were bandying about the falsification criterion for God, and they really thought it was clever. But it's not clever because God being unfalsified is a virtue, not a vice. They want to treat God as though he was like a common object.
yeah, they always want to bring it down to the like normative level, I guess, or like the everyday
Well,
level.
here's the point. If all states of affairs that we hold to as true, all states of affairs must be in principle falsifiable in terms of how they express the falsification criterion, then there can be no certainty. There cannot be any ultimate terminal starting point to build upon. Because whatever your starting point is that you build upon for subsequent propositional statements, the whole chain can be fallacious if the starting point isn't necessarily true.
Yeah, they
So
think
if God is God, meaning he's the necessary precondition of everything, and he cannot fail to exist, then there cannot be a scenario by which he can be falsified even in principle.
they got this big gotcha because we basically say that God's the self-authenticating starting point. We take the Bible
Yeah.
as a word, and so but they're just making their like a human mind the self-authenticating starting point.
Yeah, they're
So
trying to use various rationales from, you know, Popperianism that have made its way into philosophy and just saying that, you know, something can't be evidence for something if the thing in question isn't falsifiable in principle, right? But it just, it just took me when it was first introduced to me, it was new to me, and I'm like, I got to think about that. And after I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and then I just realized it's just sophism. You see, they used to say, well, the proposition has to be falsifiable. But then they realized that this is not feasible for many propositions. So they changed it to the proposition must be falsifiable in principle. You know,
Sometimes they'll bring up the null hypothesis. That's another.
that's another canard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the null
So
hypothesis that has to do with like the relationship.
the null hypothesis is not unbelief.
It has to do with It has to do with like statistics and scientific experiments with the
exactly. What it has to do is this: suppose we have an antibiotic and we want to test to see if it is effective.
like
right?
the placebo, or like
The null hypothesis would be
there's no relationship between the variables.
Yeah, the null hypothesis is not just, oh, I'm just in a state of unbelief. The null hypothesis is that there will be no significant statistical variation when the antibiotic to be tested is applied to microorganisms. Okay, so the hypothesis that the XYZ antibiotic will be statistically effective in eliminating these microorganisms, the null hypothesis would say that there won't be a statistical variation.
Yeah, Matt Dillahunty, Matt Dillahunty made that popular, but that's actually just like shows.
It's stupid. They're not understanding. The null hypothesis isn't meaning that you're holding to the absence of belief of the first hypothesis. Yeah. The null hypothesis is just simply a contra-positive hypothesis.
It's only in the context really of an experiment involving like the relationship between variables, where you assume that, for the sake of the experiment, you assume there's no relationship, and then you're testing.
And it has to do with statistical outcomes.
Well, this guy's name does not look very serious, so I don't know if you know. Exactly. It has nothing to do with
he won't last long. So are you an atheist?
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yes.
You don't want to say my name?
Dude, look, I have no patience for young males that
you
are
never
old
have
enough to be my
patience for anything.
Goodbye. Goodbye, little boy. Problem solved.
Guess he couldn't. The rules not clear enough, or I mean, I tried to make the rules obvious and plain, like God's existence.
Yeah. I'm not putting. See, this is the problem. I've been doing this for 14 years, and this crappy, sarcastic, arrogant, argumentative, obfuscatory, prevaricating mindset and attitude. You don't put up with it. You see, you've changed a bit since you've been doing this. Okay, you've become less Mr. Rogers like, right? Because you're realizing, why should I waste my time on these idiots?
I mean, I have my moments. Sometimes, it's like, how it goes. Sometimes I have more patience.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
You'll be wearing the helmet soon.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I had a guy today tell me A theory and B theory of time aren't mutually exclusive. They both can be true. Did you know that, Darth?
Oh God, that's a good one. Oh my gosh, that was a good one.
He's one of the more like popular intellectual atheists too on TikTok. It goes Hatim.
Who said that?
Hatim. I mean, he's not that. I see him around a lot though on panels. Hatim.
He said the A theory and the B theory are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, and I challenged him on that.
Why, that is just like, well, either he's stone cold ignorant or he's just lying. My guess is I can't imagine that he would be so stupid to say that. So he's just pulling your chain. He's trolling.
No, he's one of those people who acts like they know everything, but He does this all the
The,
time.
the A theory of time that says the past and the present do not exist. The B theory of time that says all moments of time equally exist, both the past, the present, and the future.
One is static and one is dynamic. So I don't know how you could resolve this. I don't know how that's not mutually exclusive.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird world we live in. And then like they let these panels they let people just go yada 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 and say all this nonsense.
That's why I usually don't join a panel where there's multiple people, because it's a waste of time, because people don't realize their own, special needs.
I mean, I guess like sometimes it's good though. There's like these like on the last panel on a Christian joined who didn't know anything, and it's like they wanted to talk to him, but it makes sense because like you got to let the atheists win a couple debates. Like if they just talk to us all the time, they lose constantly. So
Well, it's like the hyenas in Africa. They want to go for easy prey.
right.
So it's like Justin from Deconstruction Zone.
I read about some study they did about like mice. They play games where they wrestle, and they noticed that like if the one mice like wins a high percentage of time, then the one that it doesn't want to play the game anymore because they always lose. But so there's like this certain percentage where like you got to win just enough, or you quit playing the game. like that's the thing with like pre-sub. It's like they can't win versus the pre-sub, so like they get really discouraged, and then they don't even want to play the debate game anymore.
Well, isn't that the truth?
It's kind of funny though, the mental gymnastics they do to like anything but address the issue. Oh, this is one of them. This is one of the sophists that I talked to. Oh, this is the Mormon guy, right? Yeah, he converted me to Mormonism.
Yeah, he's Mormon now. Do you want to be Mormon too, Darth?
Yeah,
We could really use a heavy hitter like you on our team.
You know, that's an ad hoc rescue. That's not like a defeater to pre-sub, but you don't care, right? I'm assuming.
You can't deny the reality of my God and my prophet's additional revelation.
Look, okay, yeah, I talked with you before. You got bounced yesterday.
Yeah, no, you're a sissy though. You didn't fight like a man. You sat there and cried about your lightsaber or something, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's how you deal with them.
So
they don't even believe their own bullshit. So it's a good idea not to give them extended time.
Yeah, no one's requesting up. Yeah, but I agree. Like they don't understand that you can't argue something you don't believe in when we're arguing on transcendentals. We're arguing.
What they're doing is they're very similar to the flat earthers. Most of the flat earthers do not believe in a flat earth, right? It's just a game to them, just to mess with people's heads, right? And the same thing is true with many of the atheists. They don't down deep really, really, really believe there's no God, right? But that's what they want. They don't want there to be a God. That's what their mindset is.
So do you cuck Precept's dad in front of his mom, or do you cuck Precept in front of his dad?
All right, we're gonna have to.
Your wife in front of you.
You need to
Precept cuck your wife?
Blocking him. Okay. All right. So if he comes up again, you need to block the account.
I blocked him.
Yeah, the interaction I had with Shannon Q Ducklips, you can find it on YouTube. Yeah, if you troll in the chat, you're going to get muted. If you want to substantively disagree, you can come up. But if you troll in the chat, you're going to get muted.
That video with you and Shannon Q comes up on my YouTube feed like all the time, and I see her like duck lips, and I laugh like, every time. The way she like
Well,
poses.
she was it was pure. You know, the whole time she's doing this fake laugh because
No, just like
what
the
she was
whole
doing
duck
was an
lips.
acting. No, she was doing an acting performance to hide behind the fact that she couldn't talk intelligently with me about her atheism.
No, but the whole duck lips things make like you when you look at her picture, like
Well, the reason why I kept on referring to her repeatedly as Shannon Q Ducklips is she kept on taking publicity photos of herself, puckering her lips like Kim
that's what I'm
Kardashian.
saying. That's what I'm saying. It's funny because
So
that's
that's why I call
funny.
her Shannon Q Ducklips.
It's funny. That's very accurate.
Somebody asked her in a text message or in a text chat on YouTube if she would be willing to debate me again, and she told the audience she would rather gouge out her eyes with her own fingers than talk with me again. And you know why? It's because I kept on referring to her as Shannon Q Ducklips, and she resented that. Have you ever heard the recording of her where she's intoxicated?
I'm not much of a fan of hers, so I can't say.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so funny. She's totally intoxicated. Welcome, Abe.
Prove
What would you
Israel
like to
did
say?
9/11, because that's how you get a live taken down. You come in and you
Uh,
ask, "Can you
okay,
disprove that Israel did 9/11? Can
can
you
you block
disprove
him,
that Israel
please?
did 9/11?
Okay, you need to block
Can you
him,
disprove that
okay?
Israel did 9/11?"
Yeah, just block him, okay?
I blocked him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think if we remove him, we don't get in trouble, right? Like, I don't think I get to.
Some of these people, I would love to meet their parents, and just say, what did you do? You know, what did you do? I think you should change the wallpaper.
All right.
That way they won't be afraid, or I can drop out, and then when you get people in here, I can rejoin because I think I'm scaring them away.
It's been kind of slow today. I think I'm kind of scaring them away too because I got a way to like. I've been using like the Matrix movie to really simplify precept. What I'm saying, like, look, I mean that movie is about like a real. Have you seen the Matrix?
I've seen parts of it.
Well, it's a real thing in philosophy, right? Like in the Matrix, the character he's got science and philosophy in the Matrix, movie, but his science and philosophy can't like tell him he's in the Matrix, right? Because it's not enough to get to ultimate reality. It's not enough to tell us what reality is.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, in real life, Keanu Reeves is one of the nicest Hollywood actors out there.
yeah, I like him.
He's really cool. He's really cool when he doesn't realize he's on camera and stuff like that. He's an extremely kind person to people.
Yeah, I've heard that. There's a rare.
Look, I understand that some of these movie stars they just get sick of people hounding them, and it's understandable to a point. But then you have other of these people. They're just so kind to their like for example, Jay Leno is not a conservative,
Okay.
but I've seen so many on the spot interviews. Jay has no idea he's being filmed, unless of course he is going, oh, I'm always on camera, and he's just so kind to people, and out of the public. He's such a nice guy to them. But I can understand how some of these actors it gets to them. like they're out eating in a restaurant, people start coming over to them while they're eating. I mean, that's you shouldn't do that.
That's people don't think there's like negative, like people want fame and then they don't think about there's negatives that come with that.
So what celebrities have you seen in person?
Oh, I mean, maybe like nothing really. Like I've seen like Evander Holyfield at like a
Oh, okay.
game.
Well, he's a celebrity, famous boxing person.
Yeah, remember I yelled at him.
You yelled at Evander Holyfield.
Yeah,
Remember when you're not old enough to remember when Mike Tyson bit his ear off?
No, of course I am. I remember that.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. He said he had the most famous ear. They asked him in an interview, "Are you gonna like get your ear reconstructed?" And he goes, "No, I have the most famous ear in America."
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, I saw Giada De Laurentiis, the Italian chef. At a I think it was at a Costco. Yeah.
I watched.
She was a tiny little thing.
I watched the last Mike Tyson fight. They actually made a joke about that before the fight. They go, "Do you think he's gonna bite?" What's his name? Logan Paul's ear.
I saw a funny video where they, were asking people, "Could you beat Mike Tyson?" To Sideway. "Oh yeah, I could kick his butt or whatever." And then Mike Tyson walks out of the door of a building right up behind him, and it's so funny.
Man, there's a time in the '80s where he was like he was invincible.
Oh, his punch. Do you ever see his back? The power of those muscles.
Yeah, he was something else. In his prime.
Yeah, he's one of the all-time great boxers.
Yeah. But unfortunately, this last fight was kind of a joke. It was like a cash grab. So,
hey, listen, take the money and run.
yes, he's probably hard up.
Well, he could use the money. Hey, I don't begrudge him. That's a lot of hard work. Look, they wouldn't get the money if people weren't viewing it. No rational atheists. All right, listen. I'll drop down, and maybe you can get some people. I think I'm scaring them off.
Do you feel like going live, Darth? Maybe you go live.
I might in a little bit.
All right, I'm gonna end it. Why don't you go live later or something?